Hey Soul Tribe, welcome to your divine guidance reading. No, I wanted to tune in. Let's ask the divine, what is it that the collective needs to know now that it's official? Pluto is in Aquarius. Like, this is the big day. We've been talking about it nonstop, and I feel like a few of you are worried about setting your expectations a little bit too high within this energy. And a few of you, I think, are still worrying about, carrying over past energies into this new timeline. And there are going to be some hiccups along the way. Like, regardless if you've been excited about this transit, you never heard about it, and this is the first time you're hearing about it, then, or if you're sort of dreading what's going to happen next, like, it's just important to stay neutral during this time. Who's going to be guiding us? I wanted to ask the keepers of the light oracle to see who wants to guide us as we enter into this brand new pool of energy. I love that we do have Saint Germain, the karmic releasing, and a lot of us who have been on the spiritual path for a while may be familiar with the violet flame of Saint Germain, and it's being able to imagine ourselves into this violet light that looks like fire, and allowing all things that are karmic to be consumed, dissolved, and release. A few of you may have recently struggled with some triggers that may have made you feel like, wait, I was working so hard on becoming a better parent, becoming a better friend, just to be a better person in general. And you may be experiencing some hiccups along the way. It's going to be important that you're very forgiving of yourself during this time and just recognize that you did what you did, you reacted the way that you reacted, you've recognized it, and you're being gifted a chance to make a declaration. I understand that this is a version of who it was that I used to be, but as I'm entering into this new pool of energy, may I leave the old karmic versions of me behind. After I go to cut, light activation. Shine your light, your internal guidance is coming through loud and clear. Senat Kumar. Like, I really love that even though right now we're going through a bit of a cleansing, a bit of this detox, there's this beautiful light at the end of the tunnel. Lady Nada, heart awakening, awaken to acceptance and divine love, give and receive in balance. Like, whatever it is that you're entering into, whether if this is a new phase of your life, or maybe you're entering into your soul purpose and getting ready to go into your own personal sense of mission, like, your heart is going through some massive activations. It means you do need to see the aspects of yourself that you weren't quite proud of, you weren't quite entirely certain if you could change, but you've made the intention to make your life better. You've been making the intention to be the better version of yourself. And that is involved with you having to release people out of your life that have been lackluster, welling up to the surface some people that you thought who were your allies. Turns out they were your fucking enemies. Like, when you start feeling regret about this situation, it's something that me and my therapist were talking about. When you start to feel regret, it actually is an indicator that you have left something behind. And all you have to do is just recognize, okay, next time I'll do better. Next time I will make sure to make better choices. Like, no longer having anxiety about the past. I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle. Let's do a quick collective read just to get an idea what everyone in the collective can sort of focus their intentions on, what it is they would like to get out of this new phase. And I think in some ways we need to also talk about what it is that you have actively left behind. We're ending this 18-year cycle with Pluto being in Capricorn. Like, what was going on 18 years ago? Like, Obama was, declared president. Like in 2007, like the iPhone first came to market. Like, can you take a moment and just think about how we went from, mailing things in the mail, like apparently we still do this, to using email, and then all of a sudden we have these little computers available to us at our fingertips. So, this is a little bit of the light activation, I will note, just because, shout out, got Master Jesus under here, and he is He's the ascended master of true forgiveness, and it means forgiveness of yourself, forgiving in some ways how your parents behaved. That could be mother and or father, and not being defined by your family's behaviors. Whether if you thought they were absolutely benevolent little fucking angels and have had to crash down to earth to realize they didn't have their shit together, or thoroughly recognizing your family did not have their shit together, but not resenting the journey that you've had with your family. If you learn to overcome and you learn how to thrive, it means you're getting out of the habit of blaming other people for your problems. So, before we jump into all of the individual zodiacs, what is it that the entire collective can take with them as they're moving forward? Before I go to cut, we have Sarky, not to be confused with Snarky. This is you rising into your divine masculine energy and actually intending to create stability mentally, emotionally, physically, fiscally within your reality, and no longer allowing other people to toy with your emotions or try to, or not even allowing people to tell you what your identity is. After I go to cut, I love it. Balance through the chaos. There's something really cool about this pool of energy that you're entering into. We've been using the last few decades to balance out technology. How do we socialize? The way that we communicate as human beings has shifted radically thanks to social media, thanks to AI technology, thanks to generative AI technology. Like the way that we've communicated, the way that we interact, and the way that we try to understand each other has radically shifted over the last 18 years. You have a chance to take all of the lessons and be able to press forward and in many ways be perceived as being enlightened. At the top, got the card of legacy. Whoever it is that you've been for the last 18 years, that's not your legacy. That's not actually what defines you. You're being asked during this time to think about how you have gone through an experience, a huge collective social experiment. Nobody's gone through the rise of the machines as a collective of people. All we've had are stories and fiction and theory, but we've had a lived experience. It's gonna be, you're being actually encouraged right now to really think about what your lived experience has been, because this isn't defining who it is that you are, it's defining your hero's journey. What have you overcome? What have you recognized? Where are you going? We also have the card of peace. Having a thoughtful reflection about who it is that you are, the now moment of your personality, you're given a chance to actually have a lot of peace with the person that you've become. You've become a beautiful, amazing, loving soul, despite how people might have treated you. Many of you have reported to me how you've been treated like shit, how you have been ghosted, how people have lied about you, and how you've been so confused because you've always considered yourself a nice, kind, loving person, but how is it that someone who's kind, loving, and nice could go through so much pain, through so much heartache? We also have gratitude. Whew, how do you have gratitude for all the darkness that you've had to endure? It's because you are coming up and seeing the light and starting to see your situation from not the perspective where you've ignored your emotions, but in many ways learning how to embrace and integrating your shadow. We have to have light and we have to have shade. Otherwise, we have no sense of contrast and we have no sense of depth. Let's get one more card. Justice. Oh, I'm so glad to see this. You guys are entering into this timeline. Oh, one card just literally slid straight off. We got the card of celebration and we also have guidance at the base right here. Like, yes, you've been dealing with a lot of chaos. You've probably dropped a few cocktails along the way due to your exuberance and your excitement. We do see enchantment right here. Like, given that I do see that in context to justice, few of you will start to see the downfall of those who have hurt you. And it is going to be important that you have a sense of peace from within, because a few of you will begin to see how you might have been hypocrites, and that was the shadow aspect, that people around you, they couldn't see you for who it is that you were because you were still holding on to and rationalizing a toxic abusive energy. And I think a few of you are going to start recognizing it's okay to accept that you have been in abusive situations, but it doesn't mean that needs to be part of your personal sense of identity. Remember what I said to you earlier. Nobody gets to define who you are as a person. Only you get to decide who it is you want to be, because you will have a lot of these jealous people who you've known from your past life, whether if this is your past life of people that you have entered and exited out of your life for the last 18 years, or if you want to go literal with the term past life, in previous incarnations. I'm hearing you guys are finally letting go of that. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle, and let's do a reading. And because we're going to be entering into the sign of Sagittarius, Sagittarius gets the first card. And of course, because I'm a, forgetful Freddy, no offense, Freddy, I'm gonna write this down. So we'll start off with the sign of Sagittarius. I'm gonna go ahead and cut. What is it that the divine wants you to focus on? Okay, so we got the card of meditate underneath there. We do have divine feminine. Sagittarians, you're being gifted a chance to start thinking about what your feminine energy truly is. And I think a lot of you have really struggled with trying to quiet your mind. Many of you have been doing a lot of work, more than likely, with your body. When we acknowledge our emotions, we can acknowledge how our body is reacting. And Sagittarians, in order to properly transit healthfully from one era into another era, being relaxed and having your mind relaxed will be critical. To enter into your abundant timeline requires you to be at ease. Because can you believe that you don't need to be constantly working hard to prove yourself to others? Before I go to cut, Three of Coins, especially proving yourself to your community, your family, and your job as well. After I go to cut, Queen of Coins. Like, you are this is cool. Like, there's a level of generosity and nurturing that you've been so good about giving it to everybody else. But I think a few of you are going to start noticing how you still have been overextending your kindness, and maybe being a little bit too open with potential new friendships. You are still learning how to gauge what your personal mentality is when it comes to friendship. And I think there's still a little bit of experimentation going on. What have you left behind? We've got the star. This is Aquarian energy. And when we are, oh, I think you guys have actually been really stuck in the past. Those of you who are Sagittarians, you've been trying to manifest from your past, most because it's been your lived experience. But given that I have been feeling this feeling of meditation, getting to know your body, a lot of you guys have been skipping over those emotions, and it's kept you stuck in a feedback loop that has left you having spinal issues, having neck issues, having digestive issues. But I feel like this is actually finally coming to an end. Now that you have been able to prioritize self care, you're being more and more incentivized on a day to day level to look after yourself first before you start looking after those around you. At this point, we got the card of judgment. You need to have a strong look at yourself and realize when you could be projecting onto others. And when I say that, it's sort of as though if you're talking to someone or a family member, maybe they're struggling, maybe you're getting a little bit frustrated and annoyed with them, this feeling like, why can't you just figure it out? Why can't you get your shit together? You should be focusing on this. You should be focusing on that. But remember, we do have this card of peace and the card of self reflection for the whole collective. You're being asked to pay attention to the frustration when you feel the need to project it onto the next person. That's your higher guidance trying to speak to you. Being able to finally take a step back and recognize when you feel judgmental towards others, that's just your higher self trying to talk to you. Being able to meditate on those difficult messages, those frustrating messages, is actually, I'm hearing, like, the key to your success in order to finally balance out the chaos that is your I want to say the chaos that is your life, but more so the chaos that is your mindset. But it oh, we got Seven of Swords here. This is a little bit of your incoming energy. Notice how the coyote is running off, but in some ways it's a little bit wily coyote. It's as though this little critter is gonna smack into the wall because it was way too focused on the wrong thing. You're still learning how to integrate your shadow, Sagittarius, and it's nothing that you should feel ashamed of. Somebody else may have made you feel as though you should be ashamed. And if you're learning to have that self talk, being able to speak to yourself outside of self, whether that is having that conversation with the quote, the proverbial man in the mirror, um, you will actually start to see how you have been ignoring your intuition inadvertently. But as long as you have compassion for yourself and recognize you are a very well intended person, focusing on yourself and your sense of self care is going to be your secret weapon as you transit into this Aquarian energy. So let's clear all of that. Put meditate off to the side. All right, so we one, two, and a three. Capricorn. All right. Well, before I go to cut, we got soulmate, divine feminine. Some Capricorns I feel like are going to be going through a few feminine based activations, especially if you've been really focused on trying to get yourself out of some bizarro karmic social situations in your 3D reality because you've done such a good job balancing your external situation. I feel like you're going to be given more of a chance to go inwardly, and I feel like you're going to be getting a lot of support from new friends. And even if I say new soulmates, think of it this way: when you get a new therapist and you really resonate with them, oh, that's a soulmate. I'm going to go ahead and cut, but we have good fortune. Like you've been working towards some big goals within your life and psychic. I think you're going to be getting psychic earth. There's your energy right there. I feel like Capricorn, you guys are it's sort of like you're going to get the evidence of how psychic you really are. I think a few of you may have fancied yourself to be a little bit psychic, but no, we need to ground that in. Being psychic, it's not that witchy woo, and that's okay to think that way. I think a few of you have encountered people who are psychic, especially if you've had siblings or any family members who are a little bit all the way up there. Shout out to my Capricorn sister. She was the white sheep in a black sheep family. But she pardon me, Capricorn, uh you want to be psychic. It's sort of as though, you'd like the idea of being psychic, but you didn't want to be all the way up there. But your example of what it means to be thought forward, to predict the future, to read other people's energy, you haven't had good examples. Um, family, some people would argue we don't pick and choose our family on a spiritual level. There is some subconscious desire to interact within certain family dynamics, but it's more that you've been wanting to figure something out. Like, you need to keep yourself grounded, but you've been so grounded that it's as though you've only depended on material evidence. And I think a few of you are going to be to a new stretched to a new level of your psychic ability where you can actually start trusting your intuition way better. Oh, we got the Ace of Swords. This does come with a lot of clarity, but I am noting right here we got this ball in your stomach. There's something that's been kind of holding you back, whether if you've been feeling kind of silly about it or maybe even sort of judgmental about, like the other psychics who are just again all the way up here, but there's something very grounded that as you reconnect to source and reconnect to earth on an equal plane of existence, that is your heart chakra opening up. And we do have the Nine of Swords, and Lady Nada is definitely going to be very present for your reading, Capricorn. Um, Because in some ways, I feel like some Capricorns, you've been trying to keep things balanced. You've been going through something very difficult, very frustrating. And I think a few of you, you've been worried that you weren't going to get the support that you needed, or more so, you've been going through something where you felt very alienated, as though you're the only person on earth going through whatever anxiety producing situation that you've been experiencing. We got 4 of coins. You've been actually holding yourself back because you actually know something, and it's prevented you from wanting to speak up or speak out, and it's really out of fear. How will other people react to what it is that you have to say? And I feel even though this is the card of anxiety, notice this character. Like, in some ways, yeah, this feels like the past. This is like someone who's been lecturing you, or fear of being lectured for not being a good person, or for, it's as though people have been accusing you of causing drama. And because of that accusation, or the fear of this accusation, it's prevented you from actually listening to your intuition. But that said, like, I'm looking at this as an energy that you have actively put behind you, because it feels like you have been taking actions to defend yourself, to stand your ground, to defend all the things that you worked hard towards, because it felt as though there was like some risk going on within your past. 3 of coins. This may have a lot to do with work, the people you have worked alongside with. I have been picking up some energies off and on throughout the collective with HR issues, harassment, complaints. And, if that applies to you, yeah, it's difficult to stand up to your abuser. It's difficult to speak up and ask for help. I was talking a little earlier, we did see that card of soulmate. I really feel like you guys are going to be getting some intervention and some help to, if anything, help you feel better about the decision to look after yourself. A lot of you have been worried about losing it all just because you took care of yourself. And that, my friend, is a lie. And you knew it was a lie, but there was still an energy holding you back from speaking up and speaking out. But as we go forward, like, so fucking Capricorn, we got like all pentacle energy. I think a few of you Capricorns are still stalling because you're still kind of worried about being alone, being left out into the cold. And regardless of whatever your anticipatory anxiety is as you go through this transit, like, you still actually have the warmth of light. There's something that I feel like it's more of a way you're going to be interpreting your situation. A past version of you would have been angry, annoyed at you, because, like, we can't be alone. If we're alone, we get all our resources cut off. So we have to put up and go, and put up with things just because that's life. Life sucks and then you die, kind of thing. But don't feel discouraged if you find yourself in this 5 of pentacle energy. It's only temporary, because at the base I do have a sense of relief, and I will show you, we do have a card of 10 of cups, and we do have the sun. There's something about you needing to get away from a toxic energy, just to let you know you can be okay solo, that you can um speak up for yourself, even if you don't have the security of the whole, the security of the community standing by you. I really feel intuitively this is an illusion, because if you just go inside, you have all the care that you need. Pay attention to your mental well-being during this time, and be open to receiving information from new people. Like, for those of you where you might need to go into some semblance of counseling, pay attention to that, because even in your energy, your third eye is on fire right now. And you may not feel excited, and that's okay. Being neutral about whatever it is that you've had to conquer is actually one of your best kept secrets, and it is your secret weapon. Whew. All right. Good luck, Capricorn. All right, next on the docket, we've got Aquarius. Like, you guys get all the songs. More soulmate energy, earthy energy. So what is it that Aquarians out there can focus on as they go through this new shift. Like this is like, you guys get to be the main feature of the next 20 years, and this is understanding how technology works and how society likes to work. It can be a very interactive pool of energy when we're talking Aquarian. And I really feel the way that you interact with people is due for a shift. So after we go that shuffling, got the key, key to the heart, key to the city. There's something opening up for Aquarians. I'm hearing this sort of I told you so. Like, why didn't you figure it out sooner? And it's not even me criticizing you. I feel like this is your frustration to people around you. There's something that you naturally understand, Aquarius, that people are just catching up to it. Card of the healer. I really like that so far. Healing the shadow. So far, we got a lot of purple energy, a lot of this kind of crown chakra shift that's happening, the violet flame of Saint Germain. Like a lot of you are going to start feeling way more confident about using your healing skills and learning your healing modalities, whether if that is you're becoming a spiritual healer, or maybe you're going back to school and taking on something that's a little bit more medically minded. But I feel as though because we saw soulmate, you're going to be noticing fellow healer friends cropping up out of nowhere. If you've been in this sort of hermit mode for the last little while, just trying to understand yourself, trying to figure out your next steps, just we had that twin flame energy come through with the monthly reading. And because I see, I'm drawn towards justice as I'm shuffling into your message, something's really balancing out. And it's no longer being a healer because you were hurt. It's becoming a healer because you have the key, you have the information, and it's just the right thing to do. Four of coins. You've been holding back on yourself. And that's not a criticism. It's just an acknowledgement that you had to hold yourself back, because even though if you felt the call to become a healer and you were a little bit annoyed because you felt dragged down, maybe you got caught up with the idea of being with the counterpart, or feeling as though you had to wait for other people to get their collective shit together before you would have permission, quote unquote, to move forward. You're not wrong. We got the Fool. This is a completely brand new pool of energy that you are entering into. If you felt as though you have been held back, you're not wrong. But because you still had some, I'm gonna call it weaknesses. It's just that you you still weren't strong enough to be the healer that you have the potential to become. Like when we get injured, say if you like, break a leg, there needs to be a time for the bone to knit and then to heal. And then there has to be time to do exercises and to get that leg right in balance with the stronger leg. You've needed to do some energetic physiotherapy. So I'm gonna, did I cut? No, yeah, I did cut. It's fresh energy. Is this what's going on here? Three of Wands. Like you've been stuck waiting for the opportunity to find you, and I think you might have felt guilty about it, but I'm hoping that this message is a little bit healing and confirming you weren't ready yet. And, as you're entering into your sense of mission, part of the challenge that you've had to endure is waiting and knowing that you're not being lazy about it. I think a few Aquarians have had this energy that has judged them or just made them feel bad that they weren't as proactive as they were supposed to be. A few of you guys have had to go through these frustrating cycles where, you think you're in love, but then you don't understand why they left you, or maybe you felt as though maybe you made a mistake and you gotta fix it. A few of you have had yourself stuck in this little toroidal pool of PTSD, and that's a reason why you've been stuck, not because the divine's being all mean to you as much as you thought someone else was being mean to you. It's because you've been given a chance to really focus on what this is. Because if you can reverse engineer this chaos, especially over the last 18 months for you guys, because we've had this sort of toggle back and forth. Everything seems to be great working out. Oh my God, what the hell is going on? Everything's okay. I'm seeing the light. Why is it that I don't understand what the hell is going on? Like, that this is you being very sensitive to this Pluto energy, but right now, got the card of judgment. It's time to start releasing your judgments towards other people, and this is very similar to Sagittarian's energy and their core message. If you felt the need to get angry at somebody else and project onto them, like, you're looking at someone and they're just mopey about the past, and your natural reaction is, oh my God, will you stop going on about how terrible your past is? Why don't you just move forward into the future? You're being a little tone deaf to yourself. You're being asked to listen to yourself. If you feel the need to push something, an idea, you're getting frustrated that someone's not getting the message, that's just an indicator to let you know, oh wait, I need to take a step back, and it means I'm talking to myself. Notice where my hand is. If this is the energy that you're trying to say, get your shit together, really what it is, you have to bring it up and behind, and then that energy has to ask you specifically, oh, I need to get my shit together. You've had a bit of a misalignment with your intuition, and it's inadvertently made you focus on the wrong thing. But seeing through this illusion is part of your healing process. Ace of Swords. Like, you're gonna be getting a lot of clarity. Whatever it is that I'm talking about, if you're still kind of like, oh, I guess berries, I suppose, it means that you're gonna start getting some intuitive downloads pretty quickly, and then it's all gonna start making sense. Be mindful of what your own energy is. Part of your healing journey has been determined. Well, what is Aquarius's energy? Who am I? Like, if I'm in a crowd, how do I differentiate myself from others? Like, you haven't had a good electric boundary around you. And there's something about this realization and recognizing when you've been talking to yourself versus you've been um, pushing your opinion onto somebody else. First of all, you're well meaning. It doesn't make you a bad person, but there's something cool about learning how to take your own advice. The best healers are the ones that know how to heal themselves. I'm clearing this out, but we do have the Hermit card. The best healers are the ones who know how to heal themselves, and they also know how vicious their medicine is. And there's something about recognizing how much intensity you would prefer to have in order to be coached and to be pushed forward, because the people that you will be interacting with, they would like to have the same level of grace. That's pretty cool. All right, Pisces, divine masculine, and the card of the shadow. Oh, it's sort of as though Piscean, yeah, the Pisceans in this collective, there's a chance for you to start stepping out and not being so afraid of being a little monster. So we got transmute, which I really do like. There's something about, are you healing from the inside out or the outside in? Because snake energy works both ways. Either it consumes something and then it sheds a layer of its, or it sheds a layer of its skin. There's two different ways you can look at this particular shift in your reality. And all of a sudden in your energy, like, my face just feels itchy. I think a few of you guys have not recognized you've been indulging in things that are causing allergic reactions. My throat suddenly wants to dry up and close up. A few of you guys have not been managing your energy very well, and I'm just pointing this out to you so that, first of all, ground yourself, get your tailbone rooted in. Take a breather. If your masculine energy is still hyper responding to traumatic past reactions, and there's a little bit of a risk right now for Pisces specifically where you are going to get triggered, and learning how to manage your physical body will be your best kept secret. So we got the card of fire, and there's just this tremendous intensity, new life. That's also a very masculine energy. This is overcoming temper tantrums. This is overcoming feeling defensive, feeling as though you were prejudged, and what's the word I'm thinking of? Worried that you didn't get a fair trial. It's that sort of feeling, especially for those of you who dealt with some ghosting and someone up and just left out of your life, and you didn't quite understand why. You felt like you did your best, and even there's someone in here where there's still some self deprecated emotion where it's like, well, I tried my best. I know that I really sucked at it, but I tried my best. How come it isn't enough? And whether this is someone attached to you or you Pisces have been struggling with this, I have to say this right off the bat. You are enough. What is there to defend? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? Because the energy that left you, they couldn't see you for who it is that you actually are. And because I see this card of fire, there's something that has happened that just something got pushed away, whether if you felt pushed away or you felt the need to push something away. This is coming back around so that it can be addressed and healed out. Two of cups, so this is masculine and masculine energy. Two feminine energies can get along fairly well. All you have to do is just passively hang out with each other and be totally cool, and you're way more sensitive to make sure you don't rock the boat with the other, and they're but sometimes that can get, you notice how I'm like kind of hunched over? You're still not in your body. You're still not properly grounded. But what's more obnoxious is that when you have two masculine energies, they're trying to prove themselves. Like, who's the better parent? Whose turn is it to take out the trash? Well, I did that last week. Like, why don't you do these things for me? Don't you understand how hard I work for you? You've had this head butting energy, and like a lot of you are just tired of it. Like I feel very exhausted when I reenact it, but there's something about the way that you wish to uh make nice. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. It's about making nice with your history. I'm curious. Seven of Swords. Make nice that there's been deception. However, regardless if somebody else in your reality chose to deceive you, you can always overcome if you are willing to be honest with yourself and be very intentional about the stories that you say to yourself. And especially for those of you, if you're, say, a divorced parent, what are the stories that you're telling your children? That's interesting. We got the World. You have actually ended a cycle. So I know it feels like I've been a little bit of a, like, a lecturing Larry at this point, but this is just to let you know, yeah, you've overcome something and you're actually ending this, like ending the need to prove yourself, ending the need to have a partner. Like, there's nothing wrong with having partnership, but it's sort of like no longer forcing a specific person. Like, this is earlier we had the Two of Cups, which is a masculine energy, which I believe that's the story of Gilgamesh and Enkidu. But this is the Hawaiian story of creation, which, to think about a creation story being the end, like creation is a destructive and constructive um story that's happening around us at all times, because earlier we did see that card of transmute, and this is sort of making the best of what could have been perceived as a shitty situation, but you've been very disconnected from your feminized energy, which is your ability to love on yourself, take care of yourself, hold space for yourself, honoring the beautiful human being that you truly are, having a looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing the beauty that you are within, because it doesn't matter how often I say how beautiful you are. If you don't believe me, well, what else do you want from me? Like, my masculine energy within berries is not interested in placating to other people, and there's an ask for you to draw on that for yourself, because you don't need anybody else. You want a partnership, but you don't need a partnership with somebody who doesn't feel seen, who doesn't feel loved, who doesn't feel nurtured. And feeling loved and nurtured is an inside job, and both you and whoever this other person is both needed to go on a journey of understanding what it means to be cared for. And I think for some of you, this other person, they may still be stuck in a karmic cycle where they're expecting the other partner to do all of the nurturing work. And because you can roll your eyes and understand through your own experience, that won't last very long. you're getting out of a cycle where your relationships can only last so long. Like, have you ever asked yourself, why do my relationships only last 4 years or 7 years? How come I can't keep a relationship for 1 year? Like, this realization will help you overcome and understand why you've struggled with this diminishing returns on especially romantic relationships. Five of Swords, like, in some ways I'm hearing cut your losses, and in some ways it's more so a loss to your ego. You might have said words that you do regret, and just acknowledge that was the person who you used to be. Taking the moment right now just to honor what you've been through, honor the person that got you into the situation in the first place. There's no one else to blame except accept yourself for who it is that you used to be. Emphasize who you used to be. You are being given a chance to just put it behind you and self forgive. What else do we have? 10 of coins. Like, you had been stuck in a feedback loop with this soulmate that you just kept trying to prove yourself to, or just hoping that if you put on your best quote unquote pantsuit, that they would come back to you, and it stressed you the fuck out. Well, this person wasn't for you. This person was using you. They were utilizing your energetic reserves in a way that was messing with your money, messing with your mindset, and this is coming to an end. I feel like for those of you who are in the Piscean collective, you have new love incoming. You have a brand new partnership incoming. If you want it, claim it. It's here. The energy is readily available, but you need to make the deliberate choice in order to finally magnetize in that beautiful partnership where the fire isn't based on proving self to another. The fire is based on, you know, creation and almost this like competitive vibe. And in some ways, finding ways to encourage one another while still standing your ground. There's something very anchoring that Pisceans can start to look forward to in their relationships, business, romantic, platonic. But I think because of fire, there's a lot of hot chemistry in here. So, ooh, I'm excited for you. All right, so we're going to go off into Aries. Speaking of fire, which, this is an Aries symbol, like, the new life, and it takes great courage to see things for what it is that they actually are. What is it that Aries is going to benefit from understanding as we complete this transit from Capricorn into Aquarius? Like, part of me just doesn't want to look at the cards. I think Aries, you're in this really neat sort of introspective headspace where you're trying to be less dependent on diviners, being less dependent on cards, just recognizing that they're tools, but they're not supposed to be crutches in your spiritual journey. Boundaries. Ooh, this feels cool. Like, I this feels very introspective, which is a weird thing to say for especially an Aries fire sign, because usually it's the okay, it's all right, let's prepare for this, let's just go for it. But there's some, like, you're in your own little bunker right now, and in some ways you're getting way better at recognizing, okay, what, because you can have cards in front of you, but if you have energies that are informing you based on toxic templates, there's only so much the cards can say that you can trust from within. We got divine masculine. Yes, like, this is releasing the counterpart. This is just recognizing, okay, they are just going to do their thing, but that doesn't need to hold me back, and maybe I could finally believe that bullshit. Got the card of the key right down here. So, oh, what is it that Aries is finally left behind, and what is it that they're embracing in the now, and what is incoming? Because, oh, I feel for Aries like you've been actually a little bit stubborn and hot-headed, because this is sort of like the final straw, and this sense that if you're going to move forward, you need to make sure that you believe your own bullshit. So I feel like you've still been planning, and it's time to come out of the planning phase. And I do love that I have this warm rush of heat going across my body. Interesting. A little bit of itchy nose problems here. We got the card of the sun. Like, you're trying to find bold optimism through this particular transition. After we go to cut, Ace of Coins. This is the ka-ching. the brand new beginning. And in some ways, you taking your time, maybe being, brooding away, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? No longer depending on what they want to do, because that fucker apparently just can't even. Like, you've been doing a lot of this, like, it feels mental, but actually it's a heart release that I think you guys have been engaged with, because you need to know that when you move forward, everything is yours. Because in the past, you may have tried to co-manifest. It's like two people trying to create one coin, as opposed to one person with a coin and another person showing up with a coin. And that it's sort of like divorced. It's a little bit of like overcoming divorced energy, where it's sort of like, well, we both worked together on this and nothing came of it. And it was because neither of you brought the even amount of energy to the table. So what do we got? Three of Swords. There we go. Um, I think a few of you felt, it's not as though you've been literally going back to this person and demanding your energy. I was making a divorce remark. Like, take it for what it's worth. It's something along the lines of, you feel like your spouse has really betrayed you in the marriage, and they've made all the money, you were dependent on them, or maybe you built a business together and you want to make sure you get your fair share of things. You over donated something to this person, and then they up and left you out in the cold, leaving you questioning your sanity. And in some ways, because I do see that these cutting remarks, there's been some struggle, I think, for a few of you with self-harm, or, I'm sorry, we have to say this out loud, wishing harm upon the person who had hurt you. I did say in a YouTube short quite recently, it's okay to have the thoughts, but it is important that we do not act upon them. You are actually feedbacking off of this person, and it's been this kind of return to sender, back and forth, return to sender attack, because this person, they are divine masculine. They're broke as fuck right now. They have the ability to return back to you, and you return back to them. So there's something about having a look at the mirror and having a look at yourself and making the intention to have peace. If Aries is the god of war, how can you go against your own sense of your own natural instincts, I should say? Where, how can you radically create peace and intend that peace? Because there's something very solid and stubborn that I think you're going to be able to capitalize on. There we go. We got the Emperor. You're finding your own foundation, and you're finding your own sense of stability. But I think your honor, like, regardless of whatever happened with this person from your past, the one that you tried to make things work out, you over donated your energy. I'm sorry, you were overlooking some red flags with this person, um, but there's something about your honor and your dignity finally being restored, so that, because I think some of you, because I see Justice over here, really would love to have some closing conversation with this person. And it's not as though that is impossible, but this person will not approach you if you are interested in starting another battle. They're just as exhausted. And I think that this person, because their energy is very prevalent within here, like, they feel the exact same way about you. They blame you for certain things and you blame them. So it's one of these things where you could blame shift all day long, and there's something to be said about, you can acknowledge that the other person did something wrong and it isn't necessarily a blame shift, but it means that you yourself have to make the intention and take ownership of, what is it that you said? How is it that you went about it? And just recognize, maybe the next time you could do something a little bit better. Queen of Coins. Like, you were oversharing in the sense of your own energy, and you've had to withdraw yourself, put yourself into this very uncomfortable cocoon, because there's a version of like, I need to do this, we need to move forward to do this, even fighting against yourself. But that is some of your feminine energy that's had to sort of blanket out. It's like a wet blanket kind of feeling to smother out the flames of Aries' energy. Your cardinal sign. You got to get things done, and that unfortunately can mean having a big huge explosion in order to clear the path, or just going through the energy of ordering a bulldozer and a qualified crew in order to make passageway. There's something about you're not wrong to want to move forward, but the tools that you have been using have been hella karmic and very destructive. You're being guided right now just to really invest into yourself. You overgave to this person and you feel like they owe you something. But the kind of energy that you overgave is always yours forever and ever. Amen. So if your energetic reserves can be reclaimed through the divine, it means this person owes you nothing. There's actually something about karmic debts being cleared out. It doesn't mean that this person gets off scot-free. It just means that this person finally doesn't have an excuse to blame shift things back onto you, because you're no longer returning to sender. You're just sort of acknowledging things with where it is that you are at. Whew. Good luck with that, Aries. It's not easy. It's not easy being green. We need to mellow out this energy. We need to go into the Taurus reading. I don't know why we're talking like this. Do. But apparently you need this. Oh, that feels so nice. No, I think there's something very beautiful that's shifting for Taurus. Your energy is so radically different than what I just channeled for Aries. But there's something I feel like the Taurus collective, you're going to start tuning into aspects of your emotions that, well, it's sort of like, I hate to accuse you of not indulging in your emotions, but there's something quite beautiful and calm. It's almost romantic. I really feel like the Tauruses, they're gonna be in their feelings. I feel like there's gonna be some like past life emotions coming up, and this is some nice past life things. Like I'm riffing on some like old timey 1930s, 1940s uh like rhythm and blues, but there's something that I feel like there's something in here I don't think you've actually tapped into before, or you've been afraid to tap into it. I'm gonna go ahead and cut. I did the card of growth. But I feel like your old soul knowing is gonna be activated during this transit. In some ways, you might have been trying to be forever young. And I don't even want to bother singing it, because you know that you need to start accepting that a version of you've outgrown a version of yourself, and there's something. This is very peaceful energy. I like that we do have the card of good fortune underneath there. We do have transmute. I think a lot of Taurans have been dealing with like having satisfaction in their love life, having satisfaction in their marriage, even, with children, with where that applies. And I think a few of you might have been stuck in a rut, sort of like, I'm living my life, I'm doing the thing I know I need to do, but why am I not growing? Why am I not growing up? Well, this energy could feel a little bit sentimental. Um, it's again, it's really lovely. Like, this is some really lovely. Whoa, like, stay grounded during this time, because all of a sudden, like, this is the second time I felt it today. I think my body is just so hyper um sensitive to this Pluto transit that I'm picking up these unusual echoes, and it's a little Doppler effect. Interesting. It's sort of like you're getting these little waves, and it's a little bit of foresight, Taurus, and it's sort of like you're finally calm enough that you can actually start receiving some very important insights about what it is you want to do with your life. I feel like you've been struggling with feeling a wee bit uninspired. 10 of Wands, you've had a lot of obligations, whether if that is debts piling up, not entirely certain how you can get to the next phase of your life, or, it's sort of as though, you need to put, it's time to let go of something and move on into the next phase of your life, and it's difficult because you want to keep holding on to it. It feels familiar, but what is familiar is overwhelming you. And we got 5 of coins. Like, a lot of you've more than likely struggled feeling like you've been going at it alone. It is interesting that I have been picking up a lot of this post divorce energy, whether if you were a divorced child or if you yourself have had to endure a divorce. Because the last 4 years, thanks to the pandemic, a lot of relationships finally got enough stressors onto them that it put people into these pigeonholed positions where they had to start making some choices. Do I wish to continue with this bullshit, or do I want something better for myself? And a lot of you had to take the road of, I need to do something better for myself. And it was scary because it meant that you would have to sacrifice creature comforts and sacrifice a sense of continuity and stability. 5 of Cups. Like, while I was, tuning into this sort of, again, this old timey, very romantic, this is a very comforting, um, this very comforting feeling. You're just being asked to settle yourself into. If I know anything about Tauruses, they love to take care of themselves. They can be indulgent and occasionally overindulgent, but there's something from your past. You just need to feel it. Like, remember earlier I was feeling really dizzy, but it's sort of a feeling like being in a wave pool. If you're kind of hanging out in the waves doing your thing, and then a flood of water comes up behind you, if you didn't expect it, it can feel a little bit dizzying. And this is a chance for you to just acknowledge how you feel now. You've been so afraid of being left out in the cold, worried that would cause even more burdens onto yourself. But really, what you weren't avoiding your material stability. Really, you've been avoiding feeling the grief. If you are divorced, you're being guided to really think about how that divorce made you feel and just feel those emotions. This could be a chance for you if you enjoy dancing, maybe taking a nice soothing bath, taking yourself for a nice long drive. There is an ask to be a little bit solo during this time. And if you're going to go solo and go hermit, be thoughtful about it. Some of you have used those energies to check out of reality, whether if that is you just want to be alone for the sake of being alone because you just can't even, or maybe you've been indulging with alcohol or other guilty pleasures uh, to help dull the emotions. But what's kind of cool about this card deck is, I don't know if I can get her quite in focus. You might be able to see that there's this little bit of a sugar skull kind of sitting on the, like, that's been laced into the shawl of this character. You are transforming. That is that blanket of comfort. But in order to make the most of it, is to allow this sort of smotherly energy to be given to you while you're not in the presence of somebody else, and also in the presence of your sobriety. Let's get one more card here. 7 of Cups. Like, I nearly flicked it out and I'm holding the card funny right now. The need to slow down your pace, is actually the divine giving you a more adequate energy for you to roam around in. Things are going to get very cray cray for 2025, and it's not crazy in a bad way, but it's going to be contingent that if you want to thrive over the course of the next year or the next 20 years, you need to be more comfortable thinking on your feet. But if you are so stuck within your thoughts and you're ignoring your emotions, then you have all these extra energies that are going to be informing you and causing more confusion and frustration. I feel like, Taurus, you've been trying to get out of a cycle where you feel stunted out of a cycle where you feel like you can't make more money or you can't achieve more within your career, or you're hitting roadblocks when it comes to being a parent, or especially for those of you who might be in your silver season, the kids have left the nest and it's sort of like, well, what do I do now? There's a little bit of retirement energy, and you can be in retirement energy at the age of 30, but there's an ask for you to start thinking about, you've lived your life up until this point and you've dedicated yourself to all of these things, but in the process of trying to get it all done, what have you ignored? And it's okay to feel your emotions. Some of us live with the lie, feeling like if we feel the emotions, we're a bad person, maybe we are entitled. And if this message applies, like really seeking out counseling, therapy, psychiatry, and actually reaching out to your medical health care providers will be very beneficial, because you don't have energies that you can be open and vulnerable with, but it doesn't mean that there isn't somebody out there available to listen to you. So, whoo, all right, Taurus, good luck with that. I'm gonna put your energy off here. Like, there's some good things ahead for you. So, while it's tempting to stay stuck in these energies, like come up for air every so often and reconnect yourself to the people that you love and care about. You know, if anything, to remind yourself why you took a break from them or what it is that keeps drawing you back. Both are informative to you. All right. Whew. All right. Gemini, ooh, something's being revealed. I suddenly have a headache. Na 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 na. Why are we talking like this? Oh my fucking god! Like, what the hell is that? Grow up. God damn. I'm really enjoying that now that I've reset the collective, and I've been trying to work with a new pool of energies. It is quite cool, I mean, for me as a diviner, to finally get to the point that now I've been more mindful about doing zodiac based readings. How, from what, like, it was quite funny. Like, the beginning half of it, everything's kind of similar and the same, but now that we're going from like Aries, things are just kind of jumping and becoming way more distinct. So I want to say thank you for your participation from one Gemini to another. I feel like Geminis, like, you guys have probably more than likely undergone some massive resets yourself, and you might have been frustrated because it's sort of like, okay, I have to restart again. Okay, restart again. All right, maybe this time it's gonna work. Like, you've lost a lot of your steam, and you may have been second guessing why you've been making the decisions that you've been making underneath their relief. There's some insights that Gemini is going to be getting downloads over the next few days, especially through this transit from Capricorn into Aquarius. And I am noticing we get the card of legacy. I just, oh God, I know I have dogs and I know I have allergens going on, but there's been a few energies just within the zodiac where it's just like, that is technically throat chakra if you're having like itchy nose issues. But there's something about the way that you have been expressing yourself, or maybe how you viewed your sense of what's the word, sort of like your public identity. You know, there is the legacy in the literal term, but there's something more long lasting. You've been frustrated that you've constantly had to reset stuff, and there's a call for you to maybe reset something one more time. Like, just, it's sort of like, okay, is this going to be the actual time? Is this the actual time? Is this the actual time? But I feel as though you're going to be getting some confirmation from your spirit guidance team to let you know, oh yeah, oh no, this is exactly what it is you need to do. And I think that once you finally settle into wherever it is you've been leapfrogging from one idea to the next, like a past version of you may have accused yourself of being flaky, but really mm, your intuitive knowing was so hypersensitive, but because your heart chakra was so blocked, you didn't have the radio, the means to register the warnings. And it's sort of as though you've had a divine guidance team that has had to do the work for you to get you from one thing to the next, because It's as though you've had some energy following you around from, I'm hearing lifetime after lifetime, and there's an actual need to confuse the energy so they can't find you. I do have the card of gratitude right here as well, and this is the Wheel of Fortune in the metaphysical cannabis deck, but this is also like it's about the Rube Goldberg machine. You've had an energy trying to get after you. You've had enemies. And, in some ways, it's sort of like, do I have enemies? Am I allowed to say that I have enemies? Maybe they're frenemies. Like, yeah, yeah, the ones that, are nice to your face. No, there's been some energy around you that has tried to steal your money, steal your ideas. Like, all of a sudden, my crown chakra is feeling all headachy again. And it's sort of like, especially for those of you where you feel the need to change clothes like 2 or 3 times per day, and you felt kind of weird that you kept doing it, and it's sort of as though you kept doing it and hoping that nobody would notice. Listen to that. You've actually been whoa, another dizzy spell. You've been dosy doing around energies that have been trying to steal from you. It's as though Gemini has been struggling with a siphoning spell, and it's sort of like if they don't know your, this isn't literal, okay? Very important. This is not literal. It's sort of like if they can't find your energetic address, then it can't find you. But we're using the internet as an example. Like it's it's a lot more difficult for us to change our address. It's a lot more challenging for us to just like kibosh our social media without people being able to find us again. And in the land of convenience, it's nice to think that, oh, if I lost touch with somebody, but I feel drawn to reconnect with them, at least I have a means of finding them to see who they are. That's a benevolent energy. But it's as though there's been a weird spell that's piggybacked on this well intended energy. It's like an Agent Smith. For those of you who watch the Matrix, the Agent Smith energy is when somebody who's a friend, someone who's a trusted confidant, suddenly their personality shifts. It's as though the person who you thought you knew completely disappeared and somebody else apparated in front of you. They had the same flesh meat suit, but they've been taken over by some entity. This is very unique message. So we got the King of Cups, and it's this sea serpent. Like I have the deck in the upright, the sea serpent, it's this sort of feeling like it's weaving around, it's trying to find you. Like it actually looks very similar to the devil card in this particular deck. But what I like is that because we have Johnny Railroad underneath here, and I am going to cut, um you've had energies that have been protecting you. Some of you've had a divine masculine who's actually been trying to protect you, even if it's been on this subconscious level. But for those of you who felt as though something has been blocked, whether it's blocks to your income, blocks to your social media, account deactivations, suspensions, while those are very frustrating and do try to find the time and energy in order to get yourself reconnected to your bank accounts and reconnected to your to any kind of account that is rightfully yours. When you come across those blockages, the divine is trying to let you know that there is an energy that has been blocked. And all my cards just suddenly took a whoa, whoa, man. Like there's something quite surprising in this energy. We went from a king of cups to a king of swords. There's some divisive action that's been going on in the etheric realm, and a few of you have felt guilty that you couldn't get your shit together, but it was actually, it's like a roaming refugee energy. It's as though you've been in one place, but that place was ready to be attacked, so you moved someplace else, and you didn't know that something bad was going to happen because you've been so preemptive. This is a left behind energy. This is feeling guilty about leaving your loved ones behind. But this pool, while that's how it looked like in the past, it's manifested differently within this particular incarnation. This will especially apply if you yourself have a family heritage of displacement. And they can go back as far as you're aware of your own family's displacement. There we got um Ace of Clarity. That's cute. You've been untangling a huge mess, and you haven't even recognized that you've been untangling a huge mess. This has been so subconscious. Because I think we did see the card of Veil at some point, but it's as though something has been hidden from you. And in some ways, it was for your own protection because you would have been considered to be crazy, or an energy would have followed you around a little bit too carefully. It's like, oh, I need to check up on you. This is a toxic handler. Like, one version of you could have interpreted as like a healthcare worker who kept following you around and they kept checking in on you, but there was something about it that made you feel, why are you checking up on me? What's going on? And that's because you had an energy attached to you that made you doubt your coaches, that made you doubt your doctors, that made you doubt people's genuine love for you. I really feel as though you've had so many intuitive downloads that a version of you would have felt like you were fucking crazy, but there's something that is being I'm hearing this is a cohesive understanding as to what Gemini has gone through. Four of Wands, this is an energy that has interfered with your ability of having happy marriages, having celebrations. As my dogs go cray cray. No, it's an energy that's trying to, they say they're protecting you, but they're actually not. This is a meddlesome energy that's followed you around where you haven't been able to be recognized for the wonderful, kind, compassionate person that you are. And in some ways, it's as though your identity keeps being erased because the wrong person keeps coming in and trying to dim your light. A lot of you guys have been struggling with trying to find your soulmate, find the counterpart, and it's because you've had an energy on you that has actually made you blind to the people that actually love you. Like, this is a weird, unique message. Like, there's some kind of weird malicious intent, and it may not be from a specific person. I feel like some of this is just followed you around as though someone cursed you in a past life and you never quite knew how to absolve it. But Two of Swords, it's as though you going through the trial and fire is creating the healthy boundary that you need so that you can make decisions for yourself. The energy that has followed you around and has made you second guess, made you upend yourself, made you self-sabotage over and over and over again, that's just being blown out. It's sort of like the divine has lit a fire to create a permanent protection so that these energies can't find you. And even if they do, they don't bother you. You're able to protect your emotions, protect your mindset. And it's sort of like if they tried to confront you on the street or tried to confront you in public. So funny, my throat suddenly wants to get a little bit dry and crackly. It wouldn't bother you. It's like, okay, you want to try? Like, I'm not willing to play your game. There's something about no longer feeling the need to prove yourself, no longer feeling the need to play their game. Because as long as you play their game, well, then they win. But this situation is self resolving. And I think the primary goal of this channeled message just to let you know that this wasn't your fault. Like, you've been moved around constantly, whether it's moving from house to house to house, moving from job to job to job, or moving from relationship to relationship, or constantly like ending something so you can bring in something brand new, and being very frustrated that the brand new beginning was still tainted. That's coming to an end. um as long as you are willing to acknowledge that this was divinely guided. And there's something about not blaming a particular person. It's sort of like whoever did this to you has been long dead, long ago. It is what it is. You're not the victim here, but I really see a chance for you to start celebrating newfound, like, this isn't the card of victory, this is the card of celebration, but in some ways finally being able to connect with the counterpart, finally being able to connect with your true love, finally being able to have that wonderful celebration into your new career, into your new life, to know that all the opportunities are being opened up to you. Pay attention to that. None of this was your fault, and you don't need to blame anybody. Just, in some ways, acknowledge this is what has happened. And I'm hearing that bygones be bygones. Interesting. Okay. And we're going now into Cancer. Like, suddenly I feel this wash, this healing wash of energy across my back. I feel like Cancerians could be a little bit mentally checked out. There's a little bit of this kind of sigh. Like I get the sense that Cancer, you're going to be very much in your feels for the next little while, but this feels as though you're full of gentle acceptance, but it does feel rooted in the sense of self-care. We do have the card of Veiled, and it's sort of like, even though Gemini's energy was like all over the place, like, because that's what we do. Um, there was something that was revealed to the Gemini collective, but there's something internally that I think that Cancerians are still trying to tune into. A very difficult time trying to focus. And after I go to cut, got the card of relief. It's sort of as though you and Gemini have been sort of shoulder to shoulder, and there might have been some severe frustration because they were trying to go about, it doesn't have to be literally a Gemini. It's just, I'm just comparing energies right now. It's sort of like the way you're trying to go about it. You're trying to be gentle, but I think you've been a little bit too stuck within your feelings. It's like if Gemini was all thought processes, Cancer feels really engulfed in emotions. And I think a few of you may have been accused of being shut down. I've got the card of home. Like, I'm hearing, I want to go home. I want to be home. Um, it's sort of as though Cancer, it's sort of like you've been working so hard on trying to get yourself onto the path of feeling as though you've accomplished something, and it's still not enough. And some real throat chakra clearing going on for Cancerians. You haven't been voicing what's going on, honestly. Um, and I think for some of you, trying to make the genuine intention to the universe, I want to go home. I think you guys have internalized things a little bit too much, and the universe can hear us internally, but there's something about coming out of your shell and finally feeling a little bit more confident, getting out into the world and actually expressing what's on your mind. I think a few of you struggled trying to say how it is you actually feel about a person, how it is you actually feel about a situation. I think you've been trying to be a little bit too nice, but I think others of you, you've been a little bit too exhausted. Okay, we got the card of the devil, and there's a lot of there's a Cancer Gemini tie going on right here. Whether if you're going head to head with a Gemini, or you've got someone within your energy that might be going through a similar parallel experience, a little bit of a parallel reality feeling right now. You may be seeing other people. It's sort of like you've been seeing other people live your life. Ooh, yeah, okay. And it's as though you've just, how do I phrase this? You've seen other people live the ideal life and you want it, but you've been so stuck in your feelings, because notice how I'm talking to you right now. You've had a very difficult time trying to get yourself up off your feet, because the King of Cups is a very similar kind of wrap around, loop around sort of energy. It's as though you've been entangled trying to achieve things that were technically toxic. We've got the card of the Chariot. Like, there is forward motion, but I still feel like you're maybe working against yourself, Cancer. Like, because Chariot is Cancerian energy. So there's something about, okay, you're working against yourself, but you need to come on out. But it's actually because you've been overly generous with the wrong energies. In some ways, this is an indication you are tired. Now, I like to consider this card to be something that you have actively closed out. And I think some of you have begun to really realize how um, it's sort of like if this Gran over here was the person that you've had a difficult time having a conversation with, or the person you've been aligned to And it's like you keep giving, they always talk about how they don't have what you have, but you give them. You're like, oh, okay, like I know you're lacking, like, let me be there for you. But they keep asking for like a 6-to-1 ratio from you, or a 5-to-1 ratio for all your math nerds out there. Like, I think some of you have not recognized that you need to be more in your feminine energy. And it's sort of like you've been spending 100% of your time in masculine energy. And like all of a sudden, I feel this like tension on my shoulder blade off to the left hand side. Like that's where my heart is. And it's sort of as though you've had something puncture and siphon your loving energy from you, that I think a few of you have really struggled with feeling apathetic. And the worst part is, if you're in a codependent relationship, this person, like, I keep wanting to like clear my throat, like, this person's really hurt you. Like, you have been in a very unhappy relationship. I'm very sorry, Cancer. Um, there's a conversation, because this is supposed to be what you've closed out. It's sort of like you've made the intention to stop giving to this, but what do we have right here? 10 of Cups. You're not happy. It's difficult because in the rat race, we try to run and we try to make things work out, and we always know that somebody's supposed to get eaten alive according to the rules of the rat race. But you have allowed too much of yourself to be consumed by making other people happy. And you've overgiven your emotions, you've overgiven your money, and it feels like you're not getting much of return on your investment, and you feel bad that you're calling it an investment. This feels like a very well-intended relationship, and it's just not feeding you. Like, I'm getting this sort of energetic starvation. What do we have incoming? We've got the card of the Empress. Like, this is just a confirmation to let you know that you have been way too much within your masculine, trying to prove yourself, trying to be there for somebody else. Like, this person, they can't even. They can't take care of themselves. Why are you taking care of them? It wasn't your job to take care of them in the first place. Unless this is your actual child or someone who's your legal dependent, why are you going out of your way compensating for what their parents lacked? Everyone is responsible for their own emotionality, and this energy has made you responsible for their emotions. There's a reason why you have not been able to communicate with this person, and you've been afraid to communicate with them. But it does start with a sense of honesty. How do you feel about the situation? What is it that you're not telling yourself? Because if you can't tell yourself the truth, you can't be honest with other people about how it is that you genuinely feel. It's going to be important, Cancer, if you really desire to move forward without having all of this energetic resistance. You have to know what makes you happy, and what did you actually want in this, out of this relationship in the first place. Because if you were looking for someone to take care of you, okay, first of all, why are you getting other people to take care of you? But how come, even in your intention to be taken care of, you're taking care of them? Like, something here isn't computing for Cancer. So there's an ask for you to start thinking about what feminine energy means to you, especially if you're a dude. This is very difficult for men, especially straight men. Gay men can kind of wrap their brains around it. Straight men sincerely struggle with this, especially, sorry to use the term, pussy whipped by women in their life. And this is more so, I can't remember which reading now. There was a little, I think it was the Piscean angle, talking about masculine to masculine energy proves itself. It's constantly trying to show up, and then it gets really angry, infuriated when the other party isn't able to be there for them. It turns competitive. A couple of feminines can be together, and it can be very passive and maybe feels a little bit easier, but then there's no depth if neither party is willing to go deep within the relationship. So whether I think for you guys, because I am seeing more feminine energy and I'm really stuck within an ocean of emotion right here, because like Cancer is the moon, and I keep seeing you fight against the tide. If you want to make the most of what this transit is, understanding what Empress energy is, that means you're magnetizing things to help fulfill you and enrich you. If this person, the situation isn't fulfilling and enriching you, well, then it's not for you. It's not actually your intention. Your ego told you something else about it. Doesn't make you a bad person, but there's an ask for you to really start thinking about what self-care is supposed to mean and being able to feel confident enough that you can be relaxed. If you're going to have a partner, it's nice to have someone who's relaxed, but I think you want more. You want to have an in-depth relationship, one that you can talk about the past without it being triggering, where you can be there for them in a time of need, but you know that they would reciprocate not because they feel obliged, but because they want to. There's something very transactional about what you've been trying to force out of this relationship. And if it's transactional and that's not what you signed up for, well, you got to be honest. Cancer, take some time to be a little bit introspective during this transit. You're going to be having a lot of mood shifts, and there's going to be some asks within your family, how you interact with family. Certain things need to shift because this habit came from somewhere, and most likely you learned it from a poor family habit. So if this is a romantic relationship or a family relationship, how do you take care of yourself first without feeling obliged to overcompensate for family? Okay, so let's clear that out. That was a very difficult one. I'm sorry, Cancer. Okay. It's like, where was I? What's happening? Where are we at? Libra. Is it Libra? No. Leo. Don't you dare butt in before Leo. Rude. Like, Leo, like, you guys have had a lot of people projecting onto you. And I think a lot of Leos are getting ready to step into the limelight. And I feel like there might be a little bit of fear cropping up to the surface, especially if you were like one of those kids where everyone's like, why is it all about you? Nobody asked you. Oh my God, you sure know how to find your camera. Like, I feel like you've had these like nattering karmic feminine voices that have held you back and dimmed your light from pursuing things that you are genuinely passionate about. Got the card of boundaries. And I'm hearing, like, in this case, mental boundaries. And in some ways, I think a few of you have had to hold yourself back from being too mean to other people, especially if you felt as though others were trying to crush your I can't speak cool. It just doesn't work for me. Harsh your mellow. Oh my God. Got the card divinity in underneath there. Air. Like this is like sort of as though the way you've been thinking about yourself. And I think a lot of Leos, you're stepping into your divine purpose and your divine mission through this Aquarius transit. And it's sort of like you've had this thing where you've been holding yourself back, like other people, they didn't want to see me in the past, and but I really want to be in the limelight. There's an ask for you to start being a little bit more bold with yourself. Like, you'll always attract the haters, and it in some ways it's not even so much avoiding the hate, it's more putting yourself into situations to see how you can thrive despite the hate. The way that you interact with people will be shifting, and in some ways, learning what is worth giving your attention over to. A few of you have been afraid of offering anybody some attention because you didn't want them to misinterpret your kindness. It's sort of as though if you enjoy bantering and having flirty banter, um the person takes it a little bit too far, and it's sort of like, I was just joking, I wasn't actually flirting with you. There's something within here that I think is getting resolved. Four of Wands, it's sort of like, I was just joking, I wasn't asking you to actually marry me. God, like, I'm Knight of Coins underneath there. Like, it's sort of like every time you go to celebrate something, somebody's there to harsh your mellow or correct what it is that you say, or they're trying to enforce their intentions onto you. Like, I think you've been dealing with a wee bit of an identity crisis. King of Wands, like, I feel like you're elevating out of this energy and finally starting to take some semblance of control. And I think many Leos this coming year are going to be stepping into a lot of divine leadership roles. And it's difficult to be divine and be in leadership because a few of you have been around people where it's like, no, you have to have the credentials, or I'm not going to believe you unless you're certified or qualified. And we're getting into an era where, sure, it's good to have people who are licensed to do things, and but it's also important to know where the lane is. If you're learning where your lane is supposed to be and what your role is you're supposed to play, you're going to start creating a network of opportunity, whether if you've already been building this network or you're going to be welcoming in a new network of friendships and acquaintances. There's something about partnership and community that are going to be very important for Leos. Three of Wands, you've been seeking out the right opportunity, getting to know more people, trying out new hobbies, in some ways, just trying your hand at doing this whole destiny thing. And Ace of Swords, I feel like you're finally going to start seeing the fruits of your labor. While this isn't necessarily the Seven of Pentacles, this is just, it's all coming together. Like, you're going to be a little bit frustrated, Leo, because you have been accustomed to waiting for the right opportunity to come. And it's difficult because it's like, I'm on a mission from God here, and you're just crazy enough to sort of believe your own bullshit. But at the same time, like, there's something internal that you've been needing to get a little bit of clarity on. It's like, you understand the way of the world, you understand that things have cause and effect, you're totally willing to work with however the matrix is supposed to work, but am I doing the right thing? We got the card of Nine of Cups. It's just a gentle confirmation, Leo, you're on the right track. Like, as long as your focus is on having an enjoyable life, this is a sense of success, a wish fulfilled. It's like, you've been powering through trying to make things work, and there's an ask for me to kind of sit back you just enjoy the ride. If you are tired of being stressed out and exhausted, why are you starting a new timeline, a new career, a new approach to life, a new mission based on stress? You're being asked to, like, chill out for a bit, relax. You're actually getting a lot of downloads whenever you are able to sort of just relax your body, do a little bit of journaling, sticking putting yourself into a silent headspace every so often. Like, you're getting the answers internally, but it does require you to be relaxed. Like, you don't need to keep looking at your phone every 5 minutes. Like, is it working now? Is it working now? Is it working now? Like, this is getting out of being hyper focused and trying to get hyper results from things. Like, because you may not see the fruits of your labor for a little while, at least within the 3D, you're going to be getting this internal clarity. And this is just to help keep you motivated, to keep you excited, and to keep you on track. Just keep focusing on the things that you enjoy. If you have a life that is full of happiness and joy, it means you're acting in a way that is joyful and happy. Concept. Oh, I love that. We got Queen of Cups underneath there. So, all right, good luck with that, Leo. Virgo. All right. Whew. Barry's starting to get tired. These readings require a lot of effort. Okay, Virgo, soulmate. I think they're a soulmate. I don't know if they're a soulmate. Like, it seems kind of cool. And I'm hearing, don't overthink it. I feel like some of you Virgos have made a brand new connection, and it's a quite lighthearted connection. Like, I feel as though um whatever it is that you have been connecting to, whether if it's intuitively, indubitably, um sorry, I need to, I'm in your Virgo energy, and all of a sudden I have to organize my table. Oh my God, you guys are such fucking perfectionists. Okay, I got it all organized. Are you happy? We got the card of spiritual cleansing after. Did I cut? I don't know anymore. There's a Virgo. Like, I know that there is talk of a brand new soulmate, and in some ways I feel like the soulmate is to sort of create a sense of contrast in your life. We did see the card of air, so this person could be an air sign. Been a bit of an airhead according to your standards. Wow, snarky. I like you already. Um, But there's actually something very cool about these soul connections that you have been making, especially if the way that they go about their reality is just so different from you. It actually feels refreshing, whatever this energy is. And we do have the card of home. Like it's sort of as though this person, you feel at home with them, and it's sort of like rejuvenating yourself spiritually, which is pretty cool. So what is it the Virgo needs to know? Like, there is a quick little warning in here. Like, yeah, you're allowed to be meticulous. Yes, you're allowed to be good at your job. Yes, you're allowed to pour the best that you have to offer into all things that you have in your reality. But it's going to be important. I think that's why the soulmate is here, that you're not so hyper focused on making things so orderly that you miss critical realizations. You've been in a bit of a habit of distracting yourself with work, or distracting yourself with the, menial tasks. It's sort of like, well, Virgos are an earthly energy. A lot of Virgos I come across, they can be very jittery, and they just want to, sometimes they just start cleaning, or they start sorting things. And I'm ADD, I don't judge, but it's sort of like, it's okay to clean up and tidy, but are you doing it because you have the energy to, or are you doing it because it needs to be done, or are you doing it just for the sake of distracting yourself? There's a toxic energy, a frenetic feeling that you've had sort of in your wheelhouse for the last little while. And it's sort of like, it feels like one of those little brooms from oh, it's like from Fantasia, Disney's Fantasia. It's like do 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 do, like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And it's like this feeling like the little dancing broom keeps trying to clean up an energy around you. We do have the card of the devil. And it's sort of like this thing that you're kind of used to it being there, that you don't even think about it. It's like, well, I'm cleaning up. What's so wrong with being clean? There's nothing wrong with being clean, but it's sort of like an old motivator, because if, especially if you had a family where we don't talk about our feelings, or we kind of avoid the situation by busying ourselves. There's a family habit, I think, that is going to be addressed, so it can finally be cleared out, so that you can no longer be, you've been, how do I phrase this? It's like you've succumbed to a family karma of being busy for busyness's sake, and rather than being thoughtful, because you've been overextending and overexpending yourself, and you're getting the examples of what to do and what not to do. And now that you've been broadening the types of people that you're interacting with, it's kind of cool, because you're starting to see how other people live their life. And it's sort of like, well, how can they just be like a hot mess, but they seem so content and happy within their life? I'm suspicious. Virgo is suspicious. Ace of Swords. I guess so many Ace of Swords about the collective readings. We got Queen of Swords. This is that self-critical, like that, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, it needs to be a little bit better. Oh, it could be just a little bit better. And there's something about finally letting go of your perfectionist needs. You're entering into a brand new timeline. And in some ways, this is a timeline that asks you, can you just be a little bit messy, and being intentional with your mess, even as an artist, embracing the imperfections sometimes is actually part of the artistry itself. It doesn't mean you need to be lazy, or you need to slack off, or um, start producing things that are poor quality. But because your energy is going through a shift, it doesn't mean that everything that you're dedicating yourself to is beneficial. Like, it's just an ask for you to be a little bit more thoughtful about, well, what is worth really pouring my energy into? Do I really need to do that right now? Or am I just worried I'm going to forget about it? And if I don't do it now, then everything's going to go across, blah, 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 blah. I think this is an old accountability habit from a feminine figure when you were a child, that just needs to be thoughtful conversation. It just needs to be cut out. It's like, you are doing a lot, and it doesn't mean you need to be doing more. There's something about working smarter, not harder. 10 of Cups. There's actually some really good things going on for you right now. But if you're not careful, it's sort of like, you got the house, you got the car, you got the family, nothing's perfect, but this feels quite content. But there's a thing in here. If you have a good life, why are you trying to busy yourself? there's something contradictory to the way that Virgo has been trying to go about keeping their life in order. And it really has nothing to do with what you're physically doing. Physically, like things are good. Physically, like sure, they could be better. We can work on your mindset when it comes to what better means within the 3D, but there's an ask for you to think about stuff internally. And again, like sure, it's important to work on your responsibilities, but do you have the energy to do it right now, or would you rather rest? A lot of you have not been doing a good job at resting. And so and especially spending time with your loved ones. There's something about like, okay, we staying out with family. Okay, we check it off the list, but you don't really engage with it. It's sort of like you're just really excited that you're running forward, but your divine guidance team is kind of pulling you back. And you're like, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Look at what's going on here right now. Just look at the people who love you. Look at the things that you're doing. Look at the shit that you're accomplishing. Like it's just an ask to, be welcome being roped back in by your internal guidance because your thoughts are still keeping you from really indulging what you already have because you got some good stuff, Virgo. We got card of judgment. This is a call for you to just let go of some old energy. That's all this is. This is just the energy that makes you feel like everything has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, all goes to hell and blah 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 blah. Like occasionally there will be a thing that doesn't work out and you might have to redo it. But you're already low energy and trying to work so hard to make everything perfect that nothing goes wrong. I'm sorry, I am a Murphy, but if everything can go wrong, it will. And there's something about changing your mentality about being so hyper diligent that nothing goes wrong that when things do go wrong, because shit happens, then you get even more exhausted because great, now I have to fix that now, as opposed to being more reserved with your energy. Just knowing if I don't feel like doing this right now, is it life or death? No, it would just be nice to maybe have it off the list. Maybe redelegate that time towards rest, relaxation. Like this is just an old family habit that has everything to do with how you feel stable in your reality, especially for those of you who have family and are parents. Just feel you're doing fine. Can you just believe you're doing okay? No, you're not perfect. None of us are supposed to be perfect. There's something about having some internal, I want to say vocal coach because that sounds funny. Internal coaching with your internal dialogue, so that you stop. It's almost like self meddling and tune into your own emotions. Because I think a lot of you Virgos, you're actually really happy and you got some good things going on, and you're just being asked to really capitalize on that during this time. All right, now Libra. Geez, you tried butting in a little bit earlier and you pissed off Leo. My God, what is up with Libra? I feel like you guys are very excited. You've been trying to practice a lot of your patience. I got your card right here from the collective pre-shuffle earlier, and there's something that's balancing out, and it's kind of this little kid excitement. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Transformation after we go to cut. It's like, what's the butterfly gonna look like? Is it gonna look like shh? Got the card of new life. Like you guys are going through a huge renewal. Got the card of affluence underneath there. Um, like this is a little bit of emperor energy, but I think also that it's this feeling like you won. Can I just say it that way? Like it's this feeling for Libra like you've won. And you've got the win, you've got the acknowledgement, and there's this sort of in between pause where you're kind of waiting for the reward to come in. And I feel like there's this little bit of tension going on. We got the Ace of Swords. I keep getting this card throughout most of the readings. So the Hermit. Okay, some clarity of what's going on from within, and I think the reward is internal. No, I want an external reward. What is up with that? Seven of Swords, like I saw this a little bit earlier for somebody else. It's like, running into the wall because you weren't paying attention to the right thing, as opposed to maybe paying attention to the boogeyman, paying attention to the shadow. Like for those of you who are waiting for, your just desserts, waiting for your reward to come in, waiting for this brand new life to reboot. It's sort of like you've been gifted a chance at a brand new beginning, no strings attached. And it's like, okay, I'm ready for it. Bueller. Bueller. I've got the card of judgment. There's actually been a need for you to let go a past version of yourself. I've been seeing this energy a little bit throughout some of the other readings, but when we feel the need to be judgmental towards somebody, whether if that is like I know you're trying to figure this out, but maybe you should focus on that instead. Like when we're tempted to feel that way towards somebody, it's actually our divine guidance trying to speak to us. There's something about looking at your divine guidance and understanding who your divine team actually is. Because when the divine team feels like it's in front of you, it sounds like it's shouting at all the energies in front of you, and then you get hyped up into it and you start shouting along with it. But actually it's more that you need to shift your energy so that it actually comes up from behind you, and that can be scary, especially if you feel as though if you realize you've been kind of judgmental. Like my moon's in Libra, so I won't judge you harshly. I do see 144 on the clock. This is part of your ascension, and just having a bit of a sense of humor and understanding that you may have been trying to get justice, and you have. Things are balancing out. When you do the work on behalf of the universe, you are karmically rewarded. There's been this need for you to let go of this past version of yourself that kept being so focused on other people changing and hoping that just if you just stared at it long enough, gave it the death glare, they would finally get their shit together. And it's sort of as though you've been stuck in this illusion, as though if I'm judgmental enough, I can change their free will. And you know better. But that's what happens when we sometimes get caught up in other people's energies. There's a lot of shifts going on right now, and I think a lot of you are still going to be untangling. Got a big headache right here. You're going to be untangling a little bit of the projectionary mess, where it's once you start recognizing that judgmental energy, and it's like, oh wait, trying to talk to me. Oh shit, okay, how do I want to talk to myself then? Because you have been a little bit mean, mostly because you've been angry, frustrated, and feeling like nothing is moving forward. And it's sort of like you've been overstepping your masculine energy to try and force things to work in a certain way. You really had to learn how to balance, I think, especially since summertime, I want to say. And it's been difficult because you've been waiting for the new thing to happen. Let's get one more card here. You got the Emperor. Like this is some really bright, shiny, um, like these are bright, shiny cards, and it's sort of like I feel speechless. Because like the energies around you have been a little bit deceptive, partly because again, you've been so focused on, people throwing little arrows at you when you didn't even realize that you're supposed to be talking to the shadow instead. And it's sort of like the shadow had some really good advice for you, but because you were so caught up trying to get justice, you hear the political chant of no justice, no peace. And it's as though you've been chanting along with a group of people demanding your justice, demanding your peace. And, the universe is just like, that's not how that works. And that's a little bit challenging if you have been feeling as though in order to move forward, you have to get justice. Like you have to see that justice in somebody else. And when we're stuck in that headspace, we're constantly disappointed with the results. But you're overcoming this. Like the good news is you are overcoming this. You have been stalled because the divine has been wanting you to have a very close look at this judgmental behavior, because when you listen to it correctly, you become an all-powerful being. This is the sword of truth. Like we got justice over here. This is being able to wield truth, not as a weapon, but as a tool, but also knowing that you have the honor and dignity to actually speak your truth. You're shifting, it seems like, from when you used to use your words in order to like just try to cut through people, try to get through the situation, try to snap people out of it. You were very well intended. But the divine had blocked you because you were too powerful. It was too much for other people. There's no tempering how it is you speak your truth. Something about being thoughtful. It's okay if people don't agree with you. A past version of you may have felt as though, unless everybody agrees with me, I cannot be safe. Or unless everybody agrees with me, that means I'm wrong. Like, you didn't actually believe your own truth. There's something about this new life that Libra is looking forward to, that you can just be yourself and you can speak your truth. And if people don't want to go along with it, you can now move forward. This is sort of like a way that you've been subconsciously holding yourself back, and it was based on a past version of you. Wow. So let's move up into Scorpio. I'm starting to lose a lot of steam, so, my apologies, Scorpio. There's a lot going on around here. Here, release, affluence. I'm hearing release the bullshit for Scorpio. Because, like, with the Pluto transiting from Capricorn into Aquarius, like, you are Pluto. You are that deep transformation. I think for a lot of you Scorpios, you've been having a lot of psychic premonitions as to what the next phase of humanity is going to be, but a few of you have been lost in the sort of like lost in what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not dread. Hmm. Got the card of home. Yeah, you guys have been lost in your thoughts, and I think you've just been spending more time within your emotions. Surly. That's it kind of feels surly in here. Affluence came back. There's the affluence of bullshit. And we got the key underneath. But I don't, maybe you knew this, maybe you don't. Like, a lot of your deep soul knowledge, you've actually been utilizing and capitalizing on it a lot over the last, like, I'm hearing the last few years. A lot of you guys have felt probably really psychic, and there's been something about wanting to indulge in darkness to understand why other people are the way that they are. And in some ways, you felt like you could create a career out of it or create some semblance of influence because you wanted to make a positive impact in the world. But it's weird. If I get the sense that Scorpios and wanting to make a positive impact, I'm pausing. I'm kind of just stuck right here. And I think for some of you is that you've just dimmed your light. I think Scorpio, your research was actually almost too good, that you got caught up in the well of other people's dread, in the well of their emotions, in the well of their chaos. There's like a group of people that you've been trying to connect with, to let them know that there can be hope, to let them know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you got caught up on what they wanted to hear, not what they needed to hear. Because there's a version of you that knew exactly what it is you needed to hear, but I feel like, Scorpio, you've lost yourself in this experiment. It's sort of like if you went into a hedge maze, like, or any kind of like, some, it's like you didn't bring a map with you, you didn't leave clues behind, or you forgot to leave notes for yourself. You forgot the original intention, and it's sort of like you've been living in the maze. And it's sort of like, well, other people live in the maze too. Like, who am I to want to not live in ambiguity? You've surrendered your will. There's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, especially for those of you who are still subconsciously entertaining toxic relationship dynamics where it's like they're just going to be that way. Why would I change? And it's okay to allow other people to not change, but Scorpio, your masculine energy has been so disconnected that you forgot that you can make the change. And you've probably been afraid of leaving other people behind. We've got the card of temperance, and like there's this need to balance out your intentions, balance out your energy. There's a lot of healing within here, but it's sort of like I decided to learn scuba diving, and I've had to go way down into the depths of the ocean to try and rescue you, to shake you out of it. You are a very powerful person, and water can carry a vibration and a resonance a lot farther away than what air can. But you forgot that it's okay to be divine. After I go to cut, we do have this King of Cups. What's underneath the King of Cups? Seven of Wands. The Gemini that had this? Interesting, because I also see this with the devil. So there's something about Gemini, Cancer, and Scorpio. There's some kind of weird entanglement between the three of you guys. Worst three-way ever. Um, and especially if you have been stuck in a third party situation, I think a few of you guys forgot why you got into this third party situation in the first place. Like, you've been asleep at the wheel. And I'm sorry to say, some of you, this has been very literal, not paying attention when you are driving, being more focused of talking to people on the phone than what's ahead. Scorpio, you actually have a very critical warning right now. You need to start taking authorship and ownership of your emotions, because you are so caught up in in the pool of everybody else's emotions, you've forgotten who it is that you are. You are at high risk of getting into a car accident. You are at high risk of injuring somebody, whether if that's you, yourself, or injuring somebody else. But your mind isn't in your body. Notice how I can't even open my eyes if I'm sitting within your energy. You've been very disconnected from your feminized aspects. What do we have right here? We got the World. This aspect of you is coming to an end, but it does require you to be thoughtful about a new beginning. In this deck, the World is the Hawaiian creation story, a masculine and a feminine energy, making a beautiful, loving, kind intention to have a brand new beginning. You actually had a chance to have a brand new beginning, but because of whatever energies that were clouding your mind, that was clouding your divine guidance, you actually missed the boat on something very critical. But what do we have right here? Queen of Wands, another Hawaiian energy. Like, in some ways, you were really magnetized to people. They're full of energy, they're vibrant, they're out there in the world. Like, and suddenly notice how I suddenly woke up in your energy. Like, you have been lost in other people's hyperactive emotions, and this can be a karmic or a divine feminine energy, and I don't think you could tell the difference between each one. But a karmic feminine energy makes you lose yourself. A divine feminine energy reconnects you to self. Like, it's going to be very critical, Scorpio. Like, you're the only one that I've come across some very intense warnings for you, so that you can get into this from this earthy into this air-based Pluto energy, so that you can thrive. I have a massive headache back here near your solar star chakra. You need to reconnect with your feminine energy. You need to reconnect with your divine feminine. And that starts with within the heart, because you have followed around these energies. They artificially fuel you. They make you feel good. They put on a good show, and they might make you feel good in the moment. But unfortunately, it's like a strip tease. It only lasts for so long. And as long as you're willing to put in dollar bills into their G string, and then it's over. And I really feel like you've overspent yourself on a karmic energy, and you've lost who it is that you are. It's sort of like you're at the strip club, you're so drunk, first of all, you're not supposed to be fucking driving, and then it's like you lose the keys, and then so you decide, okay, fine, I'll order an Uber, and then I'll get myself home that way. But in the process, you lost like how much money on strippers, and then you lost how much money on alternative transportation, and all this money on alcohol. It's sort of like if you just connected with your emotions, you could have saved yourself $500. I'm sorry, Scorpio, if you've been feeling broke, it's because you've been investing in temporary sugar-coated energies. But like, given that there's a shift as you connect with your own divine feminine energy, you don't need to depend on paying other people or paying attention to all these other people in order to refuel you. There's something about learning how to access your own divine feminine from within, rather than being so dependent on somebody else. But it does require you to connect to your own emotionality. Two of coins. Like, you will notice the results in the way that you balance out your life obligations. This is my card of neuroregulation. Up until this point, you've been really confused. I got a bear baby and a baby bear going on right here. And you've actually been listening to karmic energy, thinking it was your divine energy. You've actually had it backwards. Like you have a divine guidance team that has actually gone through all the training to try and go into the depths of your own emotion to try and rescue you and pull yourself out to the surface. Scorpio, take heed. You are on track to reactivating your own light, but it's going to be important. You need to focus on yourself. You need to forgive yourself for losing out on a good opportunity. Your divine feminine self will always be forgiving. And so, if your divine feminine self is always forgiving, it means that you can forgive yourself through this. Embrace the change of what's going on. Continue focusing on your mental, emotional, and physical balance because you will be able to be the affluential person you always wish to be. Wow. Well, Soul Tribe, I think I got to end it there. I hope that these messages were eternally helpful for you. Happy Pluto into Aquarius. Yay! And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Woo! Bye!